In this episode of Fictional Hangover, we talk about the many types of velvet, that bears and wolves are different, the desperate need for annunciation, and P.S. she's dead, in our discussion of New Moon by Stephenie Meyer. P.S. she's dead.
You sound like you're inferring that Stephenie Meyer's dead.
Stephenie Meyer is not dead.
She's not dead.
That would be really upsetting to a lot of people. Hey everybody! Welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult books, series, authors, and voice actors that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire, and today we're going to discuss New Moon by Stephenie Meyer.
Standard disclaimer. If you haven't read this book or watched the movie, I got nothing for you. Please remember that Fictional Hangover is all about spoilers. If you haven't read or listened and don't want to be spoiled, stop listening to us and go read or listen to the book, or watch the movie, then come back. If you haven't done this but want to pretend that you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you just like the show so much that you don't care about any of that, then listen up. I mean, it's Twilight. Everyone has to listen and read and love Twilight. And watch Twilight. You have to.
Yes. In the spirit that is meant. Ridiculousness.
Oh, gosh. I mean, there's only a couple of things that I latched onto this time in writing the summary. And one of them was not Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie. So I need to ask you, do we need to fix that?
He will forevermore be Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie. If anything, he's probably even more Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie in this one.
That is true.
Control.
Yeah, I did.
Replace
I
all.
did it.
I also hope that when it comes to the time, Jacob is known as Shirtless Jacob.
No, I'm sorry. I latched onto something else with Jacob. You'll just have to see.
Let's just give me the background information. I need to find out.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm going to start scrolling. Okay.
So I took this information from StephenieMeyer.com, the story behind New Moon, and I really appreciated that she did some research because, some...
End of sentence.
Yeah, well, I mean, last time I was really upset with the math of travel and the fact that it is not as heavy downpour rainy as she says that it is.
Yes, weather stereotyping
right,
is
yes,
bad.
weather stereotyping was a big issue that we had in the last one. So this one I appreciated because there was a little bit of research done. And it's about the Quileute legends that Jacob tells Bella about. And this goes back to Twilight, the first book, chapter 6. And they're all real stories, which I appreciate. They are all genuine Quileute stories that she learned when she was researching about the tribe. And it's because it's a real tribe and they're real people. And La Push is a real place and everything about it is real. So all of the Quileute legends, except for the vampire myth about the cold ones, that's not true. But she did latch onto the wolf story, and the actual Quileute legend claims that the tribe descended from wolves, but they were wolves transformed by a sorcerer, which is infinitely better, but I feel like you can't throw sorcery into Twilight because it's just, it doesn't fit, but I wish...
That's going to ratchet it up a little bit too much.
Yeah. But I really appreciate that. And she says it fit with her sketchy knowledge of vampires and werewolves always being at each other's throats. And then she says, ha ha ha, pun intended. Which I appreciated.
On your puns.
Yes, but then one thing that I really loved the most is that the actual Quileute legends are sorcery. Makes me happy.
Magic.
Yes. Anyway, that's the background info I provided this time. Sorcery. Background sorcery.
Background sorcery provided by our researchers.
Yes.
Sorcery researcher?
Resorceries.
Resourcery, yes.
It's like...
Let's just move on. Oh no, it's going to be one of those episodes.
It is going to be one of those episodes, and it's fine. And I feel like we should just move right on into the summary and just skip over initial thoughts, because who can remember their initial thoughts about New Moon the first time you ever read it?
I can barely remember what I had for my dinner tonight. Never mind when I first read New Moon.
All right, so let's just do it. Just do it.
Do it! Do it!
Bella Swan is walking through one of her most favorite places. A beautiful, sunlit meadow in the middle of the trees in dreary, cloudy Forks, Washington, where she saw her boyfriend, vampire Edward Cullen, sparkle in a sleeveless white button-down shirt for the first time.
So hot.
Across the meadow, Bella sees her grandma and waves, and her grandma, who's dead P.S., waves back and walks closer. As they're getting closer to each other, Edward sparklingly comes to greet them. But no! Grandma will see him sparkling! Edward doesn't seem to mind and smiles as he reaches out to put his arm around Bella. As Bella introduces her grandma to her boyfriend, she notices her grandma is acting weird, probably because she's dead, and mimicking every move Bella makes. Bella wakes from her nightmare when she realizes that it's not her grandma she's seeing, but herself as an old lady with a handsome, sparkling young vampire boyfriend. I'm proud of myself for only laughing once.
I had to mute myself because I was just gone. She's dead, P.S.
She's dead, P.S.
That broke me. Okay, sorry. Bella. Professionalism. Bella wakes on her birthday and she's not at all happy about being a year older than Edward now. She rushes... Sorry, I'm just... You broke me already. Freaking first paragraph and you broke me. Right.
I'm proud of myself.
Bella wakes up... You should be. Bella wakes on her birthday and she's not at all happy about being a year older than Edward now. She rushes to avoid smoking hot Billy Burke/Charlie and the presents he gives her and goes to school where she is greeted by Edward and his sister Alice. Alice tries to make a big deal about Bella's birthday, but she grumbles instead. Alice insists that Bella come over after school, and Bella says she has to work, but Alice got her out of that. And then she says she has to watch Romeo and Juliet for class, so Edward says he'll bring her over around 7 o'clock.
Edward and Bella go to class, which they have all together now because Edward flirted with the old ladies in the office. They sit with Jessica, Mike, Angela, and the other human friends at lunch because the rest of the Cullens, which are not called Hales anymore for whatever reason, have graduated. School ends, and Edward drives Bella home in her truck, complaining about its radio and how much he'd like to get her an Audi instead.
Bella and Edward watch Romeo and Juliet, and he recites all the lines to her. Oh, and that's sweet. But then, after it's over, they talk about how easy suicide is, but not for vampires. Edward tells Bella about the Volturi, the elegant, classic Italian vampires from Carlyle's painting that he lived with for a while, but couldn't convince to turn vegetarian, so he left. Smoking hot Billy Burke/Charlie comes home just before Edward takes Bella to the Cullen house for her birthday party and suggests Bella take the camera she got for her birthday to take pictures because Renee wants to see them. Smoking hot Billy Burke/Charlie also says to say hi to Alice, who he is completely smitten with, justifiably so, because she helped Bella shower after she nearly died.
The party at the Cullen house is extravagant, with roses and a big cake and crystal plates and presents, one of which is a new sound system for Bella's truck that Emmett is excited about. As Bella opens a second gift, she gets an extremely bloody paper cut, which causes Jasper to go bonkers. Edward throws Bella across the room into a pile of dishes, and she gets even bloodier. And then all the vampires, minus Carlisle, want to eat her. Everyone leaves while Carlisle doctors Bella, during which he talks about turning Edward at his dying mother's behest. Carlisle doesn't regret changing Edward, but thinks Edward won't change Bella because he's worried about her mortal soul. Ugh.
That old
Can
thing.
I just tell you that I envisioned this scene from Dracula Dead and Loving It when Renfield gets the paper cut and he's like, blood is going everywhere all over the place. He's like, oh, it must have nicked a vessel. And blood is just, that's what I imagined happening.
That's what should have happened. Especially in the movie.
Yes. Oh, nicked a vessel.
Ew. Edward takes Bella home and he's very awkward and stiff, and Bella can tell he's different. She thinks he's just upset about Jasper nearly eating her and that he'll get over it, but he doesn't. School is weird the next couple of days because Edward is brooding and Alice isn't there because she's with Jasper. After school and work at Mike Newton's family sporting goods store, Edward comes over, stoically poses for photos and watches sports with Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie. Wow, it's just so awkward, isn't it? That entire situation.
Yes.
Bella opens the rest of her birthday presents and gets a CD of Edward playing piano and tickets to see Renee in Jacksonville. Edward goes home, which is odd because he usually stares at Bella all night. Everything is just like really weird right now.
The next day, Bella thinks things are getting back to normal when Edward asks to come over after school, but she's exceptionally wrong. Edward takes her out into the woods behind her house and tells her his family is leaving Forks and he doesn't want to be with her anymore. Bella is relatively cool about this because she doesn't think she's good enough for Edward anyway. One of the last things Edward asks is for Bella to stay safe, for Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie's sake, of course, and he tells her he's never coming back. Bella, now dead inside, gets lost in the woods and is found hours later curled up in the fetal position by a very large guy she doesn't know named Sam. Sam takes her back to her house where she stays catatonic for months and has screaming nightmares every night.
October, November, December and January pass, and Bella's basically been a zombie the entire time. So now Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie wants to send her to Florida. She refuses and fakes being human by asking Jessica to go to the movies with her in Port Angeles. Bella picked Jessica to hang out with because Jessica is really shallow and talks a lot about herself, so she probably won't notice that Bella is a zombie, and is only grunting in the appropriate pauses in Jessica's talking. This doesn't really work out the way Bella planned though, because Jessica obviously notices that Bella is not herself and hasn't been since Edward disappeared. They watch the zombie movie and Bella finally realises that she is a zombie, which is a step in the right direction. After the movie, the girls walk to a restaurant for dinner.
Bella sees some bros outside a bar and thinks back to the night that Edward rescued her from the street toughs. Edward asked her to stay safe, but she's tired of that. He didn't keep his promise to stay with her forever, so why should she keep hers to stay safe? As Bella approaches the bro toughs, she suddenly hears Edward's angry, velvet voice telling her to stop, and she relishes hearing him again. As she decides that these aren't the street toughs she was looking for, and they're in fact just regular bros, she stops hearing the angry velvet, so she and Jessica leave. Jessica is clearly freaked out and drops Bella off at home without saying much to her after that at all.
The next day, Bella drives around aimlessly trying to find the angry velvet again. She goes by the Cullen house, but that doesn't help, and she decides that in order to hear it, she needs to do something reckless or stupid or dangerous or all of the above, even better. She stops in a neighbourhood and sees 2 broken down motorcycles for sale. Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie doesn't like motorcycles and has always told Bella that they're very dangerous, so she asks to buy them. Since they don't work like at all, Bella gets them for free. She knows just the person to take them to get them running again.
Bella takes the motorcycles to La Push, and Jacob runs out to meet her, shouting, "Bella, where the hell have you been, loca?" And then he spins her around in the air. Wait, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in the book. Where the hell have you been, loca?
Because all of a sudden
he speaks Spanish. Okay, excuse me. Let me start over. Bella takes the motorcycles to La Push and sees Jacob again for the first time in approximately 8 months, and he has had even more growth spurts. When we last saw him, he was 6'5", but it is mentioned that he is taller still, so he's 6'7" at least. He is excited about helping Bella fix up the bikes, especially when she offers to let him keep one if he'll repair them and teach her to ride. He gets started right away. 2 of Jacob's friends, Quill and Embry, come by too, and Bella actually enjoys a day for the first time in 4 months. And that night, she doesn't even have a nightmare.
Ooh. Time passes with Bella spending most of her time in La Push with Jacob, or with Jacob at her house doing homework, and their friendship grows. She even acts like a human again at work and school, which is shocking to her friends. One day, working with Mike at the sporting goods store, some hikers come in and talk about seeing a giant bear in the woods, and then her friends talk about it at school too. She shocks everyone when she chimes in on the discussion. Mike and Angela warm up to her again quickly, but Jessica, she's still put off by Bella trying to hang out with the bros from the bar.
Since things are going so well for Bella with Jacob, she begins to feel withdrawals from the angry velvet, so she tries to figure out a way to make it come back. She heads back to La Push and begins working with Jacob again, so the giant hole she feels in her chest whenever she thinks of the angry velvet or his family gets filled in with Jacob instead. At school, Mike asks Bella to go to the movies, and they plan for a future group date since she's not interested in going out with anyone and is currently busy with Jacob every moment she's awake and not at school or work.
Finally, the motorcycles are finished, so Bella and Jacob load them in the back of her truck and they drive off in search of a good secret place to ride them. Along the way, Bella completely freaks when she sees some guys leap off a cliff into the ocean, but Jacob assures her that everyone is fine, and that's what they do for fun in La Push. Bella thinks that might be stupidly dangerous enough to bring back the angry velvet, so she definitely wants to try it. But first, motorcycles.
As Jacob teaches Bella about riding, he seems annoyed by the guys jumping off the cliff and calls them a gang. Some of the guys used to be his friends, but then they started hanging out with Sam Yulee, the leader of the gang, who is a few years older than Jacob and the rest. Jacob says they all stare at him like he's next, but he doesn't want anything to do with them. Bella gets worried about gang violence, but Jacob explains that they call themselves protectors and that everyone loves them.
After this chat, it's time for Bella to try riding her motorcycle. As she zooms down the road, the angry velvet, pretty, which tells her she's being stupid, which causes her to be stupid and crash into a tree. She's not wearing a helmet. She doesn't care though, because she heard the angry velvet again. Yes! Jacob rushes over, finds Bella with a huge gaping head wound, which she wouldn't have had if she wore a helmet, and takes off his shirt to staunch the bleeding, which Bella apologises for and Jacob thinks is ridiculous. After going back to her house to get cleaned up, Jacob takes Bella to the emergency room for stitches. Sounding like a classic battered spouse, Bella tells her dad that she tripped and hit her head on a hammer. It would have been more believable if she said, "I was walking to my car and I fell and hit my head on the ground."
Nope.
Which is closer to the truth.
Nope. I fell and hit my head on a hammer.
That night, after hearing the angry velvet again, Bella feels the hole in her chest return. But it's not as bad as it used to be.
The motorcycle riding and accidents keep happening, so Bella keeps going to the ER, and no one questions her weak excuses. The next time she gets home from the hospital, she tells Smokin' Hot Billy Burke/Charlie that she fell while hiking, and Smokin' Hot Billy Burke/Charlie immediately tells her she can't go hiking anymore because there have been more sightings of the giant bear, and hikers have started disappearing. Of course, Bella immediately suggests to Jacob that they go hiking instead of bike riding for their next adventure. She wants to find the sparkling, unbuttoned, sleeveless shirt Grandma Nightmare Meadow, thinking it will bring back the angry velvet.
As they get ready for the hike and Jacob maps out a grid they'll use to find the meadow, they talk about seeing the bear, and Billy jokes that Jacob should take some honey with him. Then they talk about outrunning the bear. Clearly Jacob and his dad aren't at all afraid of bears. I mean, they've got such cute ears.
They're precious, really.
Yes. After a drive, Jacob and Bella make it to the starting point they've mapped out, so they start hiking. Jacob talks a little about how Sam and his gang are looking at him again. After hours and miles of walking, they give up on finding the meadow for the day. Some time passes and Bella doesn't hear the angry velvet, so she becomes more determined to find the meadow.
Soon enough, it's Valentine's Day, and Jacob asks Bella to be his Valentine, but kind of in a jokey way because they're not a couple, even though seriously they pretty much are. Bella feels so comfortable with Jacob, and he's genuinely nice and thoughtful, but she doesn't want to be in a relationship with anyone but Edward. She remembers talking to Mike a few weeks ago about going to the movies with all their friends, so she plans that and asks Jacob to come too.
Unfortunately, everyone gets a stomach flu or just decides they don't want to go to the movies with Bella, so only Mike and Jacob end up going. It's super awkward because Mike is clearly jealous of Jacob and Jacob is either completely oblivious or exceptionally confident. Both the boys try to hold hands with Bella during the movie, but then Mike also comes down with the stomach flu and leaves the movie to barf. Bella and Jacob follow.
While Mike is puking, Jacob holds Bella's hand and she pulls away, even though she likes him and also likes holding hands with him. She doesn't like him, though, and tells him that the hands-holding thing, means something different to him than it does to her. But Jacob's not really deterred. As they drive a puking Mike home after the movie, Jacob keeps his arm around Bella's shoulder, and Bella notices Jacob is really hot. He promises to never let Bella down or hurt her, but then he starts feeling weird, so he goes home with plans to call her when he gets there.
Unfortunately, Jacob doesn't call, so Bella gets worried and calls him. Billy answers, saying that Jacob is too sick to talk to her and that she shouldn't visit. That's fine because Bella wakes up a few hours later after going to bed and she starts puking too. She spends the next day sleeping in the bathroom. Literally sleeping in the bathroom. Luckily, it's only a 24-hour flu, so when that passes for her, she calls to check on Jacob. He's still feeling bad and tells her he'll call when he's better, but he doesn't call. So Bella thinks that he's realised he's wasting his time with her and is now avoiding her. She even drives out to his house, but that doesn't help. The giant hole in her chest opens back up and the nightmares come flooding back.
Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie gets worried about Bella's screaming nightmares again, so he calls Billy to see what's up. Billy tells Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie that Jacob has mono, but Bella doesn't believe that. And then she gets really suspicious that Jacob is making stuff up so he doesn't have to see her anymore. Bella's chest hole and screaming nightmares get worse. After a week, even though mono can last a friggin' month, Bella calls Jacob again. Billy tells her that he's out with his friends, which is devastating. She's creeping back into her zombie status, and Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie gets even more worried.
Poor Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie. Bella tells Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie that she's going to hang out with Jessica one day while he's out fishing, but instead of doing that, she goes hiking by herself with the giant bear on the loose. Well done, Bella. That's full of smarts. Bella gets the map she and Jacob worked on and finally finds the meadow. There is no sleeveless, unbuttoned, button-down shirt and no angry velvet at all. Lasai. Instead, there is Laurent. Laurent left at the end of book 1 when James went bonkers trying to kill Bella and tried out the vegetarian vampire thing for a little while with the Cullens' friends in Alaska. It didn't stick, and now he's here to eat Bella. He said he's doing her a favour and that Victoria, James's widowed mate, was really looking forward to killing Edward's mate since, he killed hers, even though he literally did not kill James at all.
Nope.
No. Did not happen.
He is not responsible at all.
Not a bit. We like facts when we go for vengeful murder. Yeah. And the fact here, Victoria's wrong.
As Bella faces Laurent, the angry Velvet returns. Edward's voice tells Bella to lie about the Cullens moving away and to threaten Laurent, but that doesn't work. Before Laurent attacks, 5 giant wolves come out of the woods. Aw, crap! Bella can't decide which would be worse. Would you rather get eaten by Laurent or get eaten by the wolves? She's also surprised because these wolves are giant, and also they're not a bear.
No, wolves and bears are different.
Different! Laurent seems to be afraid of the wolves, which Bella thinks is ridiculous, and he turns to run. Before the wolves take off after him, one of them, a reddish-brown one, looks Bella in the eyes.
Bella runs away through the woods, and after a very long time, she makes it back to her truck and goes home. She tells Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie that she was out hiking and that what she saw has been attacking the hikers. And it's not a bear, it's 5 enormous wolves. Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie then tells Bella that he saw Jacob out with his friends, but that he looked weird and also giant because apparently he had another growth spurt. If Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie is commenting on it, it has to be serious. So we can only assume Jacob is like 7 feet tall now. That is got to be a fact. He has to be 7 feet tall now.
Bears and wolves are different. Alone in her room, Bella
P.S. She's
panics. P.S. She's dead. Alone in her room, Bella panics. Laurent probably immediately killed all the wolves and is probably out looking for her right now. Or he told Victoria and they're both looking for her. She doesn't know what to do and is worried that Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie is going to get hurt before or after the vampires eat her. She also misses Jacob, but he's avoiding her, and if she goes to see him, then the vampires are going to eat him and everyone in La Push too. Best to just stay alone forever.
Seems to be easier. Get a lot of reading done. Thinking more about Jacob later, Bella realises that he has definitely joined Sam's cult. Why else would he ignore seeing Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie and avoid
Not
Bella?
at all, because she's annoying as fuck. That has nothing to do with it.
Nope. She is knee-deep. And she's bringing a lot of baggage.
So much baggage.
She decides she's going to La Push to confront him. Or maybe rescue him? On the way, she sees Jacob's friend Quill, who confirms that Jacob has joined the cult. Bella confronts Jacob at his house, and he's indeed with the cult, and he looks dead behind his eyes. He doesn't want to see Bella at all and blames her being friends with vampires for why he is the way he is and why the cult exists in the first place. Dude. Bella doesn't get it, obviously. The Cullens don't even live in Forks anymore, so how can they possibly be responsible for Jacob joining a cult? Rejected, Bella goes home and tells Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie about Jacob joining the cult. So he calls Billy and pretty much threatens him that if any of the boys at La Push do anything to re-zombify Bella, he's going to come after them. And he's got a shotgun, and he's a sheriff, and he knows where to hide the bodies. Bella did hear the angry Velvet again during her encounter with Jacob, so at least that was a good thing.
That night, Bella has a nightmare about Edward and Jacob, but then she's startled awake when she hears a scraping noise outside her window. She's terrified, of course, thinking that it's Laurent or Victoria, but instead, it's Jacob, and he's even larger than before. Probably 7'2" or 7'3" at this point. Jacob apologizes for hurting Bella earlier in the day and tries to explain that he can't tell her what's happening to him and that the cult's not so bad, but he's literally bound from telling her anything about it. He asks her if she remembers the first chat that they had on the beach when she and her friends came to La Push. La Push, baby, it's La Push. And she does. He talked about the tribe's history with wolves and cold ones, aka vampires, but she's also very tired. He asks her to try to remember everything he told her because if she does, she'll know his secret. He asks her to come see him after she remembers, or at least call if she doesn't want to see him anymore, which, again, she doesn't understand. She goes back to sleep and dreams of Jacob coming out of the forest, but then he becomes the reddish-brown wolf. Gasp! Jacob is a werewolf!
Clunk. That's the penny dropping.
Wait. Wolves, everyone remember, are different than bears.
They are. Bella leaves for the push first thing the next morning, but Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie warns her that another hiker has disappeared, and now he and some of the other officers and volunteers are going to go hunting for the wolves. Oh no!
Oh no, Jacob and his friends. And the bears.
Oh, the bears? Won't somebody think of the bears? But also, they're clearly murdering and eating people, so should they be allowed to run free? Moral decisions. Bella decides to warn Jacob, but also ask him if he can, not be a werewolf. And he's like, nah.
Nah, dog.
No, I'm not. No, dog. Oh, it's more appropriate to be a dog, isn't it? I know it's an insult to werewolves.
Not
he
to bears,
apologises for not being... No. Not bear.
Nah, bear.
Not
nah, bear.
No, bear. He apologises for not being the right kind of monster. Have you thought, Jacob, it's not monster, it's fuzz. Maybe she would prefer a werebear over a werewolf.
Maybe.
Just put it in order. And Bella tells him that she doesn't care that he's a werewolf, just that he and his pack are killing people. Bella. You're so stupid.
Stupid Bella.
Werewolves don't kill people, they only kill vampires, and they're after a redhead now, after killing the one in the meadow the other day. Hang on, they killed Laurent?
What?
P.S.
P.S. He's dead. Bella explains about Laurent, Victoria, and James, and that Victoria is definitely in the area to kill her. But at least Laurent didn't kill any of them or tell Victoria about Bella. Jacob decides to call a werewolf meeting to tell them this news. They also talk about werewolves being super strong and existing to kill vampires, and also that they can hear each other's thoughts in wolf form. Bella then tells Jacob about Edward's mind-reading ability and Alice's ability to see the future and Jasper's mood-altering power. She's got so much good info for him about vampires, but she definitely feels like a traitor. But, they left her, and they're not coming back, so what's the big deal? Jacob asks if she feels like she's better off without Edward, and she says she is not. But really? Really? You're not better off right now? With someone whose voice you remember because he's constantly yelling at you?
And it's all velvety and sexy.
It's velvet. It's velvet. It's a velvet voice.
Talk to me, baby. Tell me off again. When they meet up with the other wolves, they're mad because Bella is a vamp lover and she now knows the existence of wolves. They all have terrible tempers and shift into wolf form whenever they get mad. So, that happens with one, Paul, and he explodes into a wolf. Jacob also explodes into a wolf form to protect Bella. They fight, but they're over it pretty much immediately afterwards. They go to Sam's house, and Bella is warned not to stare at Sam's fiancée Emily because he attacked her one time when he got mad, and now she's got like really hideous scars. Bella thinks she's beautiful anyway, though she does call the scars a deformity, so that kind of takes away from the wholesomeness.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. What bothers Bella about Emily is that she and Sam are so in love. It makes her really sad about Edward.
The wolves and Bella make a plan to trap Victoria, and to make it easier, they ask Bella and Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie to spend all their spare time in La Push. Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie thinks it is weird that Bella wants to spend so much time there since she was literally just worried that Jacob was in a cult. But that was just a misunderstanding, and now everything's fine with him and his friends.
He's not a very good detective, is he?
It's spring break now, but Bella doesn't have much to do since Jacob is always off tracking Victoria. He tells her he's going to take a break from tracking so they can spend a little bit of time together and promises that they'll go cliff diving soon. They talk about him being probably the best werewolf because of his lineage, even though Sam is older and the pack alpha. Jacob's grandfather on one side was the last tribal elder and a werewolf, and his grandfather on the other side was also a werewolf, so he's double werewolf. He's got more self-control and can phase into a wolf faster than any of the others.
Is double werewolf proof positive?
Yes. And not a bear.
Not a bear.
Because wolves and bears are different.
They are. The day they plan to go cliff diving, Victoria shows up, so, all the wolves go after her instead. Bella's alone again, and she decides that she's going to jump off the cliff by herself because she's so lonely and she wants to hear the angry velvet again. Bella is so smart. Oh, yeah. Bad weather is rolling in, but Bella doesn't even think twice about jumping into the ocean in the middle of a storm, so she does and immediately drowns. On the plus side, she sees Edward this time, in addition to hearing him. Her last thoughts are of him, so at least she's going to drown happy.
Shrug. Not long after Bella gives up, which took all of about 8 seconds, she's bashed into some rocks, which turn out to be Jacob's arms as he's forcing water out of her lungs. His rock arms are strong, and Bella is able to recover, and as Jacob carries her away, she sees a flash of red fire out on the water. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. Or does it? Jacob tells Bella that he was able to find her because he realized that Victoria would come looking for her at the beach because she spends so much time there. He was right. The flash of fire Bella saw on the water was Victoria's hair. She was this close to catching and killing Bella. Luckily, Jacob was there, and Sam too.
Forget about the other guys. Sam leaves them to go to the hospital where another member of the tribe, Harry Clearwater, is after having a heart attack. Unfortunately, Harry doesn't make it. He was one of Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie's best friends, so Bella feels bad for doing all the reckless things she's done in the past few months. What would Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie have done if she had drowned today? Or died in a motorcycle accident?
Or
that would not have been good.
Or hit her head on a hammer.
Stray hammers are everywhere on forks. They run rampant in the woods. Jacob takes Bella to his house so she can rest, and while she sleeps on his couch, she dreams of Romeo and Juliet. She thinks about what Juliet would have done, if none of the teenage suicides happened, and Romeo just left her. Would Juliet have been happy with Paris? Could she, Bella, be happy with Jacob? Should Bella not be trying to compare her life to a work of fiction?
Full of teenage suicide?
Written during the Tudor period? Yeah.
Jacob takes Bella home later, and she thinks about just being content with him. Before anything can happen or she can decide, they arrive at her house and see Carlisle's car waiting outside. Jacob freaks out and drives away, because vampires, but Bella knows she'll be safe with the Cullens and demands that he take her back. Instead, he jumps out of her running truck and tells her that he can't help her because if the Cullens are back, the werewolves can't be on their territory. So he hopes it's not a trick and that she doesn't die. Bella's torn, but she loves vampires more than werewolves, so she goes inside her house to find Alice waiting on her. Yay, Alice!
Yeah. Alice is very shocked to see that Bella is alive. Though apparently Edward asked Alice to leave Bella alone, she has still been keeping tabs on Bella's future, and she saw Bella jump off the cliff, but never saw her resurface. Bella explains that she wasn't trying to kill herself, although she kind of did immediately give up and resign herself to drowning, but Jacob pulled her from the water. Who is Jacob? Alice asks. Bella's werewolf best friend. This explains why Alice couldn't see Bella after being rescued. Evidently, she cannot see the futures where werewolves are involved. Bella asks Alice to stay for a while, and she agrees.
The next day, Bella wakes up and hears Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie talking to Alice about what happened to her when the Cullens left and how completely miserable and zombified she was. He tells her that Bella finally started to come back to herself when she and Jacob began spending time together. Even though Bella's doing better, Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie knows that she's still not herself and that she's probably never, ever going to recover from Edward leaving her. He's got real high hopes for his daughter here. Later, Alice and Bella talk about what everyone has been up to since they all left, and Alice tells Bella she did some research into her own history and found the asylum she was locked up in before being turned. And she found and visited her grave.
Ooh,
she didn't
funsies.
Find out anything else, really, though.
The next day is Harry's funeral, so Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie goes to that, while Bella and Alice stay behind. Jacob and some of the pack come by for a few minutes, so Alice makes herself scarce to avoid Jacob wolfing out. Jacob tells Bella that if the Cullens are going to stay around, the wolves can't protect her from Victoria until they leave. But he really wants to protect her and tells her that he's always going to be her friend, no matter who she loves. Pointed stare. Bella begins to decide that maybe she should just be with Jacob, and he leans in for a kiss. She plans on not backing out from it. Then the phone rings.
Jacob answers, and his attitude immediately changes. The caller asks to speak to Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie, and Jacob tells whoever it is that Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie isn't available and that he's at the funeral. The call abruptly ends. Bella asks who was on the other line, and Jacob says it was Carlisle. Alice comes in shortly after and tells Bella that she's had a vision of Edward going to the Volturi to commit suicide by vampire. He found out from Rosalie that Bella killed herself, but she didn't, obviously. Then it turns out that was Edward on the phone. So when he asked to speak to Smokin' Hot Billy Burke / Charlie and he's not there because he's at a funeral, well, it's not good.
No. Alice asks Bella to go with her to Italy to save Edward, and she immediately agrees. Jacob is distraught and doesn't want her to go, but as the saying goes, all vampires, all the time. Even though Alice warns Bella that they have a very slim chance of making it back home alive, it doesn't matter, so they rush to the airport. On the flight, Alice tells Bella about the Volturi, how they're thousands of years old, how they're pretty much the only other large group of vampires living together peacefully other than the Cullen family, and they also have special gifts, so they are definitely formidable.
Bella laments for part of the flight about how Edward probably still isn't going to want her even after she flies across the world to save his life, but she's gonna try anyway. She tells Alice that she wishes her vision would have been true about her becoming a vampire, and Alice toys with the idea of changing Bella herself, but not right now, because the change takes several days and is excruciating. And also,
You know
don't
what?
eat people on an
Bella's
airplane.
going like, please, I know you're not going to have the peanuts. Will you have my neck instead?
Just do it.
Do it. Time and place, Bella. Time and place. Alice spends the rest of the flight watching different versions of Edward's future. She finally relaxes when the Volturi decide not to kill Edward, but offer him a place with them instead. Obviously, this is not what Edward wants, so he plans to walk out, shirtless, or perhaps wearing an unbuttoned, sleeveless, white button-down shirt, into the sun at high noon in the middle of the Festival of Voltaria, the city where the Volturi rule. As soon as he exposes himself, and/or sparkles in the sun, the Volturi will kill him. They have very strict laws in this country about indecent exposure.
Do.
Very strict.
When their flight lands in Italy, Alice steals a Porsche and they speed across the country to Volterra. Unfortunately, there's a huge festival happening and it's going to be difficult for Alice to get Bella to Edward before he exposes himself. Alice drives as far into the city as she can, but Bella has to get out and run, which is definitely not the thing that she is best at in life.
No.
Somehow, Bella manages to find Edward just as the clock strikes noon, and she's able to stop him from exposing himself, though a small child sees and points and giggles.
That's got to be below to your manhood, doesn't it? That's really... Edward doesn't believe that Bella is real and assumes that the Volturi have already killed him, but at least now that he's dead, he can be reunited with Bella. Oh. She convinces him that they're not dead, but they are in trouble because soon a couple of Volturi guards arrive to retrieve them. Alice shows up soon and they all retreat to the sewers and make their way to see Aro, Caius and Marcus, the leaders of the Volturi.
Aro greets Edward, Alice, and Bella like old friends, and he is immediately mesmerized by Edward's ability to not eat Bella and remain true to his old friend Carlisle's way of life. Aro can see every thought anyone has ever had just by touching them, so he knows how Bella's blood makes Edward feel. He also knows that Edward cannot read her mind, and he wonders if Bella is immune to his gift as well, so he asks to try. Aro grasps Bella's hand and gets... nothing. Aro is delighted by this and asks Jane, a tiny, menacing little vampire, to try her gifts out. Edward jumps in between them and then falls to the floor, writhing in pain. That is Jane's gift, inflicting pain using only her thoughts. And, not surprisingly, it does not work on Bella at all.
Snap. Aro is delighted by this. And asks Edward, Alice, and even Bella to join the Volturi. Edward and Alice both have amazing gifts, and it's entirely possible that Bella could too. Especially if she's changed. But Edward won't let that happen. When they all decline to join, the Volturi decide that Edward and Alice can leave, but since Bella is a human who knows about the existence of vampires, she has to be killed. Alice steps up to Aro then and lets him read her thoughts that include seeing the future where Bella is a vampire. That's good enough for Aro, so they're allowed to peacefully leave. The Volturi do slightly threaten to check on them soon, though. Just slightly. They say they're going to do it, but they don't book anything in the calendar, so... that's really hard to schedule. They're so busy.
Soon enough, they're on a flight back home. Bella refuses to sleep because she wants to spend as much time staring at Edward as she can because she's sure he's going to leave her again as soon as he can. When they arrive back in Washington, all the Cullens are waiting for them. Esme and Carlisle are especially thankful that Bella flew across the world to save Edward, and Rosalie actually apologizes for telling Edward that Bella killed herself before Alice could go and check for sure.
When they get back to Bella's house, Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie is rightfully furious. He hates Edward for what he did to Bella and tells him he's not allowed to step through his door, We all know that Edward uses the window anyway, so when he's in Bella's room later, he's not technically breaking any rules. Bella is completely out of it since she didn't sleep for like at least 36 hours, so when she wakes up in Edward's arms, she thinks she has died, just like Edward did when she stopped him from exposing himself.
Once they realize they're both still alive, more or less, Edward reveals that he wanted to kill himself after he thought Bella did because he didn't want to live in a world without her in it. It's literally Romeo and Juliet. He tells her that he didn't want to leave her, but he thought she would be better off without him. He was 1,000% wrong. He tells her that while he was away, he tried his hand at vampire tracking, like what James could do before they killed him in Book 1. He also says he feels terrible about leaving Bella in Forks with Laurent and Victoria still lurking around. Well, Victoria anyway, because the werewolves got Laurent. Edward's not pleased about Bella being friends with the werewolves, but you know what? Fuck off, Edward. Jacob kept Bella alive.
Speaking of Bella's mortality, she thinks that Edward should be more concerned with the Volturi than he is with Victoria, but he's not, and plans to keep Bella alive and human, even though that's not at all what she wants. Surprisingly, she stands up for herself a little bit and decides to put her mortality to a vote with the rest of the Cullens. So they spider monkey over to his house. It's like getting an Uber, except much quicker. On the way, Bella tells Edward all about the dangerous stuff she did and why she did it, so she could hear his angry velvet. But then she realises that she could hear him because he loves her. And it's very convoluted and it doesn't make much sense.
It does not make much sense at all.
It's
fine. They arrive at the Cullen house and Bella asks them to all vote on her becoming a vampire. Everyone votes for her to be one of them except for Edward and Rosalie. Edward because he's selfish, and Rosalie because she didn't want to become a vampire herself and wishes that someone had let her choose. Choosing is important.
This is literally what Bella is doing.
Since the vote is in favor of Bella becoming a vampire, and not at all because that's what she actually wants, Carlisle offers to change her after she graduates from high school if Edward won't do it. She really wants Edward to do it, though. He tells her that he will, but she has to marry him first. Oof, she doesn't want to ever get married at all.
Can people please start having conversations about how they want a relationship?
No.
He's 100 years old. He's got no excuses. Later, back at home with Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie, he demands to know where Bella disappeared to for 3 days she was gone. Instead of telling Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie that she flew to Italy, she says they went to LA, where the Cullens supposedly moved to, because Alice told Rosalie that Bella jumped off a cliff, and Rosalie told Edward that Bella tried to kill herself and he wouldn't answer his phone so they could explain. Whoops! Bella forgot that Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie didn't know about the cliff diving.
Ooh.
But everything gets wrapped up in a nice little package. The Cullens are back, and she and Edward are together again, whether Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie likes it or not. Everything is back to normal, except that Bella is grounded for the rest of her life.
Edward and Bella go back to school, and he helps her with college entrance essays, and they make plans for her non-vampire future. One day after school and work, Bella comes home to find that Jacob is there with her motorcycle and some of his wolf buddies. He brought the motorcycle in hopes of getting Bella in trouble so she would be grounded and not able to see Edward anymore. Well, she's already grounded, which is why, she explains, that she hasn't been to La Push to see him. Obviously, he thought Edward was responsible for that bit.
Before Bella can fight Jacob for getting her into even more trouble with Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie, Edward steps close, which makes Bella realise that Jacob is still growing. So he's up to what, like 7'6" now?
At least.
Something like that?
At least.
At least. And he thanks Jacob for keeping Bella alive and safe when he didn't. This doesn't change how they feel about each other, though, and Jacob explains the treaty Carlisle set up with the Elder Wolves, that they will live peacefully as long as no Cullen ever bites a human. Bites, not kills, which puts a kink in Bella's life plan.
Well, she doesn't get to choose her life plan anyway, so it's fine. Bella's got some serious issues to deal with. She has to become a vampire, or the Volturi will kill everyone. But if she does, her best werewolf friend will kill everyone. And Victoria is still out there too, also planning to kill everyone. None of this matters to Bella, though. Not now that she has Edward back by her side. Oh.
Should we go and watch the movie now?
Yes, I really need to. You know what I want to do, though? This is the movie. This is the one that ends with her going, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Marry me. We need to put the subtitles on for it to see what what it does. What it says.
We're going to have to go back and watch it.
You see, if this was us writing and we end on a gasp, it'll be oh! Our gasps now have to be right, let's go and watch it with subtitles
Let's
on.
do.
Everybody else gets a promo for a different podcast.
What's up, fellow book nerds? It's time to feed your fiction shelf addiction. Hear book club style roundtables, bookish chats, and more. Join Tamara and her friends for fantasy and thriller read-alongs and other shenanigans over on the Shelf Addiction podcast. Listen now on your podcatcher of choice. Subscribe for free, and you too can have a shelf addiction.
Are we back?
Yes, and do you know what I found out through the terrible CGI?
What?
Wolves and bears are
I'm so proud of you.
If you're going to gasp properly, please. Other than that, Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen. Oh, I love it. Beller is alive after all. Beller.
Also, this one's more of a visual one. But you know when they're trying to... They've been in front of the Volturi, and I think we're going to talk about the Volturi for a little bit, and Edward's getting the snot beaten out of him by Felix and co. It's the bit where Bella screams no. She literally does this no.
Yeah, it's all of her hands.
What? Oh, no. What the hell is that?
So bad.
Yeah.
If we're talking about bad scenes from the movie, though, we really have to include... Where the hell have you been, Luca?
Oh, it's so bad.
Why?
And I swear, all the way through the movie, they just get Jake Lautner to stand... Is it Jake Lautner?
What?
Jacob's character. What's his name? The actor? I know it's Lautner.
Taylor
Taylor Lautner, yes. They just get him to stand on a box to make him 7 foot by the end.
I really wish that they would. Because it's like that he starts out the book at 6'5". But it is mentioned so many times in the text. Like, he's getting bigger. he's bigger. He's getting bigger. He's towering over Edward. He's getting bigger. So he has to still be growing, so he is 7.5 feet tall.
Well, I've literally just Googled how tall is Jacob in Twilight.
Yeah.
And it says physical appearance. This is from twilightsaga.fandom.com. I'm not digging in any more than what the Google summary gives me. Physical appearance growing from 5'10" to 6'7" within 1 year. Jacob's the tallest character in the series, towering over Alice by nearly 3 feet and describing her as about the size of one of his arms.
Alice is 3 feet tall?
And no, Alice is pocket size for travel convenience.
Alice is 3 feet tall?
Apparently. She's travel size. So there you go.
I love that she's 3 feet tall.
There's one where it says the 5 tallest and shortest characters in the cast. I'm going to have to dive into this one.
She's 3 feet tall.
The tallest is Jackson Rathbone, aka Jasper, at 5'10". The shortest, do you want to guess who that one is? Taylor Lautner.
He's not 6'7".
No, he's 5'9".
Oh, he's precious.
Oh, hold on. Carlisle Peter Fictional is 5'11".
Okay.
Kirsten Stewart was 5'5". Smoking Hot Billy Burke, 6 foot.
Nice.
Ashley Green, Alice was 5'5". Callum Lutz is 6'1". Nikki Reed 5'4". Robert Patterson is 6'1". Esme Elizabeth Razor was 5'3". So he's a little dinky werewolf, really.
He is.
They had to use a box.
I think they just left him little, didn't they? It's fine.
Yeah, I don't think they're really overly. They just they kind of more went with the muscle mass than height.
Yeah, and in the book, he's described as being like wiry. Like he's got long, ropey muscles because, he's 7.5 feet tall.
But it's easier to make somebody like weight train than it is to put them on a rack and stretch them.
I feel like I remember when these movies first came out that they were going to originally go with someone else other than Taylor Lautner for Jacob in New Moon because he was so tiny. But he did all the bulking up himself to prove that he could be Jacob. I feel like I remember that being a thing. I could have just made it up though.
That does sound vaguely familiar though. Yeah. There was something else in the movie. Yes, so the husband watched it with me and he didn't do anything whilst the movie was on. He sat and watched New Moon with me. Yeah, I know. Salty comments throughout, which is fine because, I'm salty while I watch these things. I love the movies, but I am not going to, I'm going to pick the faults as well.
It's what we do. Hello, welcome to Fictional Hangover.
Exactly. And the scene in when Jacob and Bella are in Voltoria and she's just, the door's closed, they're being reunited, and then Felix comes along. And then it's literally within 2 seconds, Jane comes along and she's like, yeah, RO sent us to get you because you're taking too long. And it's the entire time it takes them to then go into the elevator, which has terrible elevator music, which I totally forgot about, and then get to the central hall where the RO Marcus and them are. She must have gone up the elevator with them. There was no way. If they're all standing in the room and RO's like, oh, can you go and get them, Felix? Cheers, mate. Jane, he's taking too long. He couldn't have left the hall. He must have ridden up the elevator. She must have ridden up the elevator with them and then literally hung back around the corner to then dramatically go, oh, you're taking too long, you've got to come out. My husband, I'm going to give full credit to Colin, said, do you remember the show Gladiators when we were younger? Gladiators. The referee was Scottish in ours, but he was like, Felix, you will go on my first whistle. Blows the whistle. Jane, you will go on my second whistle. Blows the whistle. And literally it's just blow the whistle, and then they've gone. And I swear he nearly broke me. I was on the floor laughing so hard. It's such a dramatic scene because I was like, gladiators! Oh my god. They're going to take the Travelator up. Yeah, so there you go.
That's amazing.
That was so funny. So he spent the night watching New Moon with me. He watched Twilight as well. He's going to watch them all with me.
I love that.
Just doing salty comments. So yes.
That's so fantastic.
That was so funny.
All right. Are we going to talk about this book at all?
Oh yeah, there's a book.
There is.
Yes. Well, we're talking about the Volturi now.
It's true. I mean, yeah. I guess so. I love the Volturi.
Yes.
I had forgotten that Marcus has an ability too, though. I had forgotten that Marcus has the ability to see relationships.
Yeah, it's a bit wild.
I mean, I can see relationships with my eyes.
What I do is I open my eyes and I observe for 2 minutes.
Like, what does he see? Does he see like a glowing line between them?
Auras? Matching auras?
I don't know. And what does he see if Jacob is there too? Does he see a triangle? Does he see love triangles?
Well, we know that it's not a love triangle, though, don't we? We know the reason why Jacob's so attached to Bella.
We do.
Spoilers.
Can I ask you a question about that, P.S.? It's really important.
Oh, God, please let it not be about the ovaries.
It's not about the ovaries. My question is, and this is going to be spoiler alert for, book 4, but I have to ask it. If Jacob likes Bella so much because of Renesmee, shouldn't he also like Edward?
Oh my god, I've literally had this conversation tonight.
Shouldn't he be sexually attracted to Edward and Bella?
Well,
technically,
it's not science though. It's not science though because
it's sorcery.
It's sorcery because women have eggs in them.
Yes,
they are there.
yes.
They don't produce them as they're going along. They release them, but they don't produce them. Whereas semen is produced when it's needed.
Yeah.
But Edward's been quote unquote dead for like 100 years.
Mm-hmm. So he's got dusty semen.
So he's got dusty semen. So the thing is though, when I was like, okay, so I can't. If you're gonna, I mean, it is the ovary thing. You've asked me the ovary thing.
I did not ask you the ovary thing. I asked you why doesn't Jacob have a crush on Edward?
Well, this is the thing. I can't reconcile myself with it because it does link to the ovary thing because the quote unquote science that's been given is because Bella is Renesmee's mum and therefore has the egg already of Renesmee. However, Edward wouldn't have Renesmee's semen if it was biologically correct. He hasn't produced it yet and won't produce it for a while. Unless it's already there. And if that's the case, then yes, I agree. Jacob should be enamoured to a degree to Edward.
He should be.
It doesn't make sense.
It's sorcery.
It makes my brain hurt. And it's stupid. So I'm going to ignore it and move on and just think about the differences between wolves and bears.
Right. Yes.
Fluffy ears. Tails.
Snoots.
Bulk. Snoots. Claws. Scratching the backs on
right,
trees.
Yes.
Hibernation.
Those are some good differences between wolves and bears.
And I didn't even Google.
So proud of you for that.
Okay, so let's stop talking about book 4. We're going to end up revisiting that conversation.
We are. Something that I liked about this one that wasn't evident in the movie. Like, when Edward breaks up with Bella and they disappear, like, in the movie, she was a whiny bitch about it.
Yeah.
But in the book, she really, handled it well, minus the catatonia after the fact. But she was like, okay, you're leaving. And she knows that, like, Edward, it's impossible for Edward to feel the same way that she does about him because he's a perfect vampire and she's just a slovenly human. So in her head, like, she's already rationalized it, and she's like, okay. But in the movie, she's
collapse. I'm good inside. Yeah. Book Bella is better than movie Bella.
Book Bella is infinitely better than movie Bella.
And not just because Book Bella emotes correctly. Or at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know I know the reaction that Bella had to Edward leaving, you know, basically withdrawing from the world, going catatonic. And, you know, I really like the way that the book and the movie did it, where the book just had the months as the chapters and there was nothing else but the title. I really like that. Yeah. And I like the way that the movie did it, where it just had her sitting, staring. You see the seasons change and the months displayed as text. And I enjoy those. I think it was a very good way of doing it. But I understand. I can appreciate that people find it problematic that she's so dependent on Edward. But I'm not defending the situation, and I think particularly in Book Bella's case, she doesn't feel like an equal to Edward. No. Like you said, she's a slovenly human and he's a perfect vampire. Quote, perfect vampire. But the power dynamic's not there. Like, she cannot physically protect herself. And he's got, you know, amazing special abilities that she doesn't have, but she does. But you realise by the end that they are actually something special. Which is why it's so frustrating that he doesn't want to turn into a vampire, because basically, you know, that would make their relationship more of an equal.
Well, he doesn't want her to be his equal, clearly.
No, it's difficult. I don't think in this book, in New Moon, either Edward or Jacob come off in a positive light. Jacob starts off really soft and fuzzy and lovely. He's a friend. He wants to help her. He wants to bring her out of that catatonic state and make her a part of the world again. And I really appreciate friend Jacob. But as soon as he starts pushing from the cinema scene onwards that he wants something more, and she's like, no, I just want friendship. I don't feel that the same way. I love you, but I love you as a friend. That's it. He starts pushing and pushing and pushing, and it gives me the nice guy TM vibes, where he's being a friend to a girl he likes until he can worm his way into our knickers.
Yeah.
And I find it very problematic as well. I find that really difficult. And especially up to the point where he is essentially liable for Edward trying to kill himself through misinformation.
Yeah.
Purposeful misinformation. And what frustrates me as well, both with Edward and Jacob, but more so with Jacob, because Edward does relent because he loves Bella, is that Jacob wants all of Bella, and that's it. Yeah. Edward would like all of Bella, but starts to accept Jacob as a friend because he realises Jacob kept Bella safe, pulled her back into reality in the world where he couldn't when he wasn't there. And like, his gratitude means that Jacob has that he's given Jacob that leniency. He's realising actually Jacob is not necessary. He's a werewolf, don't like the werewolf aspect, but he's not that bad. So they're both terrible. They're both gaslighting gatekeepers and horrible in that respect. But I think Jacob, for me, gets worse while Edward starts to grow.
See, I feel like I don't mind Jacob as much in this one. Like, I actually appreciated it, and I forgot that he was so kind to Bella the whole time. And of course, yeah, it does get a little bit much at some points where she's like, no, I don't want to do that. And he's like, well, don't worry, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be here in the background. I'm going to be waiting, and it's going to be fine. Like, that is a little bit much. But Edward watches her sleep. So, like...
Which is why she can't get to sleep and has nightmares. She hasn't got her person
right.
watching her.
Maybe that's why she can't sleep. But I had forgotten how much I appreciated Jacob in this book. It's more than I ever remember, because obviously I watched the movie a million billion times and I've only read the book once or twice. So I forgot about that. But it is a little bit much, and I don't love it, but I liked Jacob more than I liked Edward in this one. Because why? Like, every single time that Bella hears the angry velvet, like, it's him berating her, and she is excited about that. That's what she wants to hear, is him yelling at her, and he's like, she remembers how angry he is with her. Like, that's not a good sign.
It's not, and I do wonder if she was in different circumstances, if she could be happier. If she listened to, for example, the CD he made for her. If she listened to that and remembered Edward in a positive light, would she get the sexy velvet?
Angry.
Instead of
the sexy velvet instead of the angry velvet. I see. It's like rage table, so sexy table here.
Yes. Yeah, so get the sexy table, the sexy velvet, rather than the angry velvet. She keeps going to the angry velvet situations. She's not looking for the sexy velvet situations.
Well, there's not much sexiness.
No, do you know that I hate the kisses in the movie. They're so freaking awkward because they're like, no, no. Oh, just get on with it, man. Sorry.
Oh
no.
Ugh.
I don't know. I feel like I want to blame Bella for Edward, and I'm not though, because that comes across as victim blaming, and I'm not, because Bella has been done the dirty by both Jacob and Edward. But then I think Jacob and Edward have also.
It's not none of it's good.
Communicate.
None of it's good at all. I remember when I was finding the background info, I read about how Stephenie Meyer was like, I don't want to say confronting, but she was talking about the fact that everyone is like, why is this happening? They were going out for like 8 hours and now they're broken up and she's catatonic. And she explained that away in saying that this is not just a high school boyfriend, it's her true love. Her true love. Imagine what you would do if your true love left you. Like, it takes a little bit longer than 8 minutes to find your true love. And I hate that. I hate that that's how she explained it away. It's true love.
It kind of, like, it reeks of the werewolf imprint, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, as soon as the werewolf imprint's done, it's like, well, that's it. Done and dusted. So, is this a vampiric equivalent? Because it's not really said as such. Yeah. But yeah, it does feel like it's hard and fast and too much too soon.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's a lot, and I completely appreciate how it's dodgy. It's dodgy. I don't know how to say it apart from saying problematic again. It's dodgy. Yeah. It's just, I don't know how realistic it is. I mean, high school crushes, you as a teenager you can fall in and out of love so quickly and so easily.
Sure.
I don't know, I find it very difficult.
Yeah, like, I can imagine, if my Jacob, my husband, if my Jacob left me after us being together for 17 years, I'm gonna be catatonic as fuck on the ground. But 17 years, not
Yeah.
not 3.5 days.
Yeah.
They've actually been together for
Same.
like 8 months, I think. But still, like, that's...
Same 20 plus years for me and Colin, and yeah, it would happen, but that's because I've spent more than half my life with this particular, with this individual.
Yeah.
Not 8 months.
Yeah.
It's a teenage hard and fast, and I get that, and it's gonna be the be all and end all. It's the biggest thing. It's like I was talking to somebody the other day about, when you're at school and you're stressed about exams and assignments and schoolwork, and I remembered one of our teachers saying, it's not stressful. This is not stressful. And we just dismissing our feelings about it being stressful. And we turned around, and I remember saying to this teacher, this might not be stressful for you because you're an adult and you've experienced different levels of stress in different situations. For me, as a 16-year-old, this is the most pressure I've ever been under, and this is going to define a lot of my life going forward. So it is, for me, at this point, stressful, and you need to respect that. And this is why people thought I was going to be a lawyer. And it's kind of like that. This situation is the same with this relationship. You think it's the be all and end all, and it's absolutely everything, even after 8 months. And that's fine, because that's how that is their situation,
Sure.
and that's how they are. And people do fall hard and fast.
Can I ask you a question?
You can.
Okay, so book 1 ends after prom, so May-ish. And book 2 begins in September, around Bella's birthday. What did they do for those months? Because I feel like
Bella worked at Mike's family sports place store thing.
and Edward stood in the corner and stared at her.
Watched her.
Like, I feel like if we had seen any of that time period, seen them spending time together, it would have made this book more impactful. Because we have all of this build up, all of them building their relationship now that, she's relatively safe and there's no vampires currently trying to eat her.
Yeah.
So if we could have seen them building their relationship over the summer months when, like, okay, she's not in school, what are they doing with all of this time? That would have made the book mean so much more when he decides to leave. But because we haven't...
And it would have been an easy win to have had as an email to Renee. Bella's right, it could have been a prologue, and it was an email to her mum saying, I'm sorry we haven't talked in a while. This is what I've been doing over the summer. Or just like a diary entry or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could have been easily, it could have been done in a paragraph.
Yeah.
But yeah, establish that time frame. Yeah. I feel sorry as well for Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie in this one as well. It's like, I don't know if the line is said in the book, I can't recall exactly, but in the movie, if she's walking away and Jacob's going, no, don't go, and basically trying to stop her from rescuing Edward. He's like, what are you going to tell your dad? And she's like, I'm 18, I'm legally allowed to do this. And it's, I've left a note. I remember in the book she just says she's left a note. But one of his best mates literally just
died.
It's worth a phone call.
Yeah.
Even if he turned around and said, no, Bella, you're not going. And she's like, I'm sorry, Dad, it's too late. I'm about to go on the plane.
Yeah, something.
I'm calling you to tell you I am safe. I'm all right. It's going to be a few days. I'm coming back. I'm not being stupid. I'm not being reckless. But there's an emergency situation. And you raised me to be the person that when somebody needs you, you go to them and be there for them.
Yeah, and that would have been fine.
It doesn't take that long.
No.
Yeah.
I did like when she was writing the note for Billy, Smoking Hot Billy Burke / Charlie, and Jacob is there, and he doesn't want her to go, and he's already said, no, don't go. But he gives her the paper, and he gives her the pen, like, here you go. here, like, I know you're going to do it anyway, so here. And he, like, helps her out. I don't know. I really liked Jacob in this one.
Jacob in the book is much better because he does resignedly give her the pen and paper.
Yeah.
Whereas movie Jacob, like, grabs hold of the steering wheel from Alice.
Yeah.
And physically tries to stop her from going.
Yeah.
And gives her an ultimatum. I don't like ultimatums.
No, and I appreciate that book Jacob was like, I am still going to be your friend no matter who you love. I'm still going to be your friend.
Yeah. Movie Jacob for me is a lot worse.
Well, he's half the size, so.
He's half the size, but double the problem.
Yes.
And, yeah, I just... But all the way through, I'm like, just Team Alice.
Always Team Alice.
All the way.
Although I am also Team Volturi.
I'm Team Volturi as well. I don't need to live the vegetarian lifestyle.
Nope.
I'll happily go and live there. What? Cause people pain? Yeah, go on.
Dunsies.
I wouldn't mind a bit of Jane's power. Pain.
I know. I hate that in the movie she has to say it out loud though. Pain. Like,
well, I mean, it's exposition, isn't it?
It is, but it's dreadful. Oh, that brings that. Can I tell you my surprise?
I'm hoping it's what I'm thinking, but I'm not sure.
It's probably not what you're thinking. Okay.
I feel like we're in a confessional here. Sorry.
So I was listening to the audiobook, right? And we already established with Twilight that the audiobooks are not great.
No, they are not.
And so I was listening to it, and they get to Volterra, and they see Jane, and I had to listen to it. I listened to it, like, going back. What did she just say? Go back. Surely she did not just say that. Go back. No, that's what she said. And then when I got home from, driving home and listening to the audiobook, I pulled up the text and understood actually what they were saying. But I was under the impression for that, 25 minutes that I was in the car, after having listened to that scene over and over and over again, 5 times, I thought that Jane was black. So the text from the book is, at first, I thought it was a young boy. The newcomer was as tiny as Alice, with lank, pale brown hair trimmed short. The body under the cloak, which was darker, almost black, was slim and androgynous. She's talking about the cloak is black, but the way it is written, I thought that she was really poorly describing Jane, and the body under the cloak was darker, almost black, and slim and androgynous. But the face was too pretty for a boy. Why did we have to insert the description of the cloak right there?
Body under the cloak, which was darker, almost black. Why didn't she just put the body under the dark cloak?
The body under the dark black cloak.
Yeah?
But I listened to it 5 times going, did she just say that Jane is black? Have I just missed something? Have I missed out? Is Jane black? Why did they get Dakota Fanning to be Jane if Jane's black? Jane's not black.
Dakota Fanning was in...
Cloak is black.
I need to turn the text back.
What?
I'm turning the text a darker colour.
Okay, sorry.
Almost black. Sorry, that was very inappropriate. For those listening, you're probably going to edit this bit out, but just in case, I'm reading the text. It's been Amanda's kindly highlighted it for me. That is so badly written.
And then the audiobook, there was no like inflection or pausing.
No, because she doesn't do that in the audiobooks. They're all monotonous. It's just one giant sentence of monotonous text. It's terrible.
The body under the cloak, which was darker, almost black, was slim and androgynous.
Yeah, that makes it sound like it's the person is naked underneath the cloak.
And I thought, my God, that's offensive. But she calls...
Freaking Hollywood whitewashing again.
But, like, I mean, it's also the writing, because Stephenie Meyer refers to all the Quileutes as having russet skin. Like, can you please just stop using colors to describe things? Can you just stop it, please?
Yes. It's not the most well written.
No. Speaking of it not being well written, I did not forget to tally my words that I tallied in the last episode. So I have those.
Oh, excellent.
The grimace
excellent.
and the murmur and the mutter. I've collected them again.
Let's have a tally.
So, let me scroll down a little bit here. Grimace, we grimaced 20 times. We murmured 30 times. And we muttered 57 times.
What? 57 mutters?
57 mutters in 20 chapters. How many chapters are there? 24?
I'm about to check, it's right next to me. That's insane. Do we have a running total or not?
There is not a running total. However, I do have them both, so we can add them together. Twilight, Grimace was 16 plus...
So 136.
Yes, so that's 36 grimaces. 76 total murmurs. And 107 mutters. Almost murders.
So,
107 murders.
How many murmurs, sorry?
Murmurs is 76. And mutters.
In total?
Yes. And mutters
And how many?
is 107.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Do you know what this tells me? With all these mutters and murmurs.
That the audiobook is accurate?
Enunciate, people. Enunciate.
Oh. Okay. Did you have any...
Desperate need for enunciation.
Did you... I'm really glad that you said that and you did not enunciate that well. Desperate need for...
I was muttering and murmuring to myself. But we are in a desperate need for enunciation. With pronunciation. Inflection.
Did you have any surprises?
I totally forgot Laurent died in this one.
What? How did you forget?
I thought it was in the next one or Breaking Dawn. I completely forgot. I knew he died, I just couldn't remember which book it was in.
Yeah. I can't believe you forgot
So
that he
nothing
died.
big. I remembered he died, I just couldn't remember which book it was in. It's like, sorry Laurent, I'm really not that concerned about your health and well-being.
No, not at all.
Did you have a favourite character, by the way?
The Aro. Duh. The Volturi. I love them.
Yes. Specifically Michael Sheen.
Yes. Bella is alive after all. And
I heard that Michael Sheen wasn't going to do it until his daughter was like, Dad, you got to do it. And he's like, fine.
I'm glad. Way to go, Michael Sheen's daughter, because he's the best part. He's the best part of the movie.
And it also gets better because it's the same daughter he has with Kate Beckinsale, Sexy Vampiress.
It's even better.
And I remember that this for some reason sticks on my head. I remember reading that Kate Beckinsale took her daughter to a bookstore and the bookstore clerks had to help bring all the books to her car. And there was 3 people laden down with books as well as her and her daughter. I was like, oh yes.
Oh, I love that
She's
so
a vampire
much.
and a bibliophile.
That's amazing. Do you have a favorite character other than
Well,
Aro?
apart from the Volturi, I'm going to say Alice specifically in the sports car because she loved that thing.
She did love that sports car. And also, she just had a roll of $1,000 bills. P.S. Which
She just committed Grand Theft Auto. She had spare cash. She didn't buy it.
I know, but she just had that $1,000 bills. Those are not in production anymore. They haven't been since like the 60s, and she just happens to have a roll of them.
She probably had them in her pocket since the 60s. Never, because she doesn't sweat. She's a vampire,
Right.
so it doesn't really need cleaning
Right.
that often. And it's like, oh, I need to give this person a bright. I've got $1,000 bills. There you go. She'll get something on eBay. Ooh, can I point out all of the old tech like we did in Twilight? She got given a camera.
Yes.
And I do have a camera, but it is not charged. How we're so dependent on our mobile phones for cameras these days. I was like, oh my god.
And
there's not a single mobile phone, it's only ever landlines.
yes. And her camera uses actual film.
Yes.
It's not a digital camera.
Yes.
It's actual film.
Actual
And she has to go
film that needs
Yes,
developing.
and she drops off her film at the 1 hour photo or whatever.
Amazing. But in the movie, it is a digital camera because she prints it off herself.
Right.
And Edward gives her a CD.
In a jewel case.
Love it.
Yes. Yes.
I think there was one other tech references, but every time the old tech was coming up, I was just giggling because of our previous conversations and our conversations in Vampire Book Club.
So good. Oh, man.
Right, sorry.
Now
Now I'm
is
ready
it
for
time?
Would You Rather. Okay, so we asked on social media, if you were young and naive, would you rather recklessly drive a homemade motorcycle or cliff dive into the ocean during a storm? She wears jeans and her shoes to cliff dive.
She's probably wearing her hiking boots.
Idiot.
She's gonna sink straight to the bottom. And then she just... Wait, I got it. Okay. So, Jacob and I have this, like, joke that we always do. And it involves being in a swimming pool. And, like, my sister has dogs, and she puts them in life jackets when they get into the water. And so Jacob and I are always like, yeah, because the dog's just going to go sink straight down to the bottom, take a big deep breath in, and flip upside down. And so that's just what I imagined Bella doing 8 seconds after being in the water. She just goes, well, shrug. She just drowns immediately. That's what I'm thinking of the whole time. Sorry.
Do you think she peed in the ocean?
Probably. She probably peed herself as she was resigning herself to drowning immediately.
Just relax at last. And
She did. She was finally happy because she saw Edward. She saw the vision of the angry velvet, and she's like, and that's why Victoria didn't come closer to her, because she's like, pee. I don't want to swim through pee. I don't know why she talks like that, but she does.
Right, okay. I need to ask. Sorry, can we go back?
We're not playing Would You Rather yet. Excuse us.
No, I need to go back. It's because I was watching the movie, and we talked about you mentioned it's like dead and loving it paper cuts with just blood, and I go,
Look the vessel.
Right, how do any of the Cullens / former Hales go to school or just generally go about the business? Because one paper cut and Jasper's like, rah! If you're at school, how many people will have open wounds from sports injuries, from paper cuts?
All the time.
Having their periods?
All the time. I believe that comes up in a later discussion where it's that blood is dead, so it doesn't affect them.
Okay, fair enough, I'll give you that. But people will have,
Yeah.
You bite your lip, you'll have a nosebleed. I know they missed the school day when they did the blood test things, which FYI is weird, and why you're doing that in the school. But yeah, it happens.
It does. Yeah, people are constantly bleeding all the time. Disgusting, gross kids like picking their faces, scabs oozing.
Scab. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When your skin, you've got dry skin and it just cracks by accident.
Yeah, you're bleeding all over the place.
It's not Yeah. How has Jasper not eaten the entirety of Fox?
I don't know.
And to be honest, I would support him in that.
I mean, yeah.
Of course.
I don't know.
But yeah, it made no sense. And Edward, you're a plonker. She got a tiny little paper cut. Jasper attacks, and what do? You throw her in some glass.
Yeah, just throw her straight into the crystal plates.
But use some smarts, people, please.
I also worry or wonder about the fact that they're always like, yeah, Jasper hasn't been a vegetarian as long as us, but he and Alice met up after the 20s. And so they've been together, let's just say 1925. He's been with them for that long, and he's still struggling so much. But Emmett wasn't turned until like the 60s, I think.
Yeah. Jasper's been a vegetarian probably about the length of time that Edward's been a vampire. Thereabouts. And he's still, give or take 5 years.
I wish that it had been Emmett that was having struggles, because they mention specifically in this book that they haven't celebrated a birthday since Emmett in the 60s or something like that. So Emmett is clearly the newest one.
Yeah. I
don't know.
Inconsistencies.
I don't know.
I love these books, but yeah.
You can't.
They're not perfect.
You can't dive deep into them. Or you start to realize things.
I think we need more than water in our mugs.
Which I'm drinking out of my Twilight cup again, by the way. Oh, look, there's Emmett.
I have my sparkly Fictional Hangover.
It's very similar in color. This one is actually from when New Moon came out. I have had this cup for that long.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, now is it time?
Would you rather times? Would you rather times? So, you were young and naive. You would rather recklessly drive a homemade motorcycle or cliff dive into the ocean during a storm. Either way, you're not using your smarts. On Facebook, 75% said motorcycle. On Instagram, 62% said motorcycle. On Twitter, 80% said motorcycle. And TikTok was a straight up 50-50. We had loads of comments.
So many comments. We always get a million comments with Twilight books.
Annie on Facebook said, terrified of diving, so motorcycle it is. Although I'm driving really slow, but somehow reckless. I think you would fall over if you were slow on a motorcycle.
Yeah, and that is so
or
dangerous.
You do that scooty thing with your legs.
Yes. Right into a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Drew on Facebook said, I can't do heights, so I will risk road rage.
Colin on Facebook said, I'd have to ride the motorcycle. I've got visions of pieces of it falling off as I drive, leaving me riding what is essentially a unicycle with a big old engine attached. This will not end well for me or any spectators, but I will feel alive for the brief second it takes for me to fall off and explode into a fiery fireball of fire.
It's amazing.
It's painted a picture.
Bree on Facebook says, I have a better chance of surviving the motorcycle because Jacob made it and he knows what he's doing.
True. Katrina on Facebook said, I'm scared of heights and the ocean. That scene terrifies me, so motorcycle it is.
Constance, I'm not singing your entire song, but I will sing the last part. And I'm free falling. Constance is jumping off a cliff.
Jennifer on Facebook said, my instinct is homemade motorcycle, but if I'm being reckless, cliff in a storm. I barely know how to swim, so that should fit the bill. Oh, Jennifer, no.
TJ Purett's author on Instagram says, have to go with the bikes. The height and freezing cold water are not appealing as reckless adrenaline options for me.
Read Write Obsessors on Instagram. Cliff diving during a storm sounds perfect. Screams reckless, stupid, and save me from myself, please.
Glim Glam Jen on Instagram says, motorcycle for sure, no matter how dangerous. At least there's not a sea monster or something slimy waiting in the water. Team Jacob forever!
L20 Kev on Instagram. Yikes, what was with all the height questions recently? I'm gonna go bikers, I'm a shite swimmer.
Carissa the Bookworm on Instagram says, motorcycle, I'm terrified of heights.
Cool. Do we have any library comments this
We
week?
do have some library comments. Motorcycle, if you see me in the ocean, you better call 911 because I'll be dead before I hit it. Not happening. We also have cliff diving. Those motorcycles can be dangerous. And then finally, the third one, which it spawned a lot of other comments. And I have to explain this one too because it's really precious what happened. So, motorcycle. It's probably much easier to save me from dying if something goes wrong on the motorcycle. P.S. Bella is dumb.
Agree. Hard
yes,
agree.
And someone agreed. But what's really precious is that I was eating lunch in the break room with one of my coworkers, and we have a coworker called Bella at the library, and the person that I was eating lunch with, he didn't realize that the question was about New Moon. I mean, I write it in the corner of the board where I write all this stuff, but he didn't realize that that's what we were talking about because he's never read the books. And so he goes, why are they being so mean to Bella? He felt so bad, and this guy is so, so nice. He's the nicest human being that I've ever met. And he was like, why are they being mean to Bella? Why? And it made me laugh when he said that. And I was like, he goes, oh my God, I just realized it's Twilight. But it was really great. And then what makes all of this even better is that Bella, coworker Bella, adds into the bottom of this, P.S. Bella is dumb. She said, hey, I'm smart.
Yes, you are, Bella.
She is.
Not Bella Swan.
No.
But library Bella.
My Bella is very smart.
Yes. Oh, that's precious.
I really loved it so much. So much.
I'm dedicating this Would You Rather to library Bella.
I think that's good. Yeah. So what are you doing?
Motorcycle. As much as I like the idea of jumping off the cliff, I am not doing it in a storm. I'm not wearing jeans. I'm not wearing hiking boots, and I'm not doing it without safety scuba divers waiting for me to catch me and make sure I'm safe.
Or at least a friend. One other person
yes.
there. Person or werewolf.
Or somebody knowing exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, where I'm doing it.
Ugh.
You know? Accountability.
Yeah.
Safety. Not doing it. The motorcycle, I probably will not even get a foot. I will turn it on and I'll go.
Just immediately creak over to the side.
Yeah, so, and then I'll probably get graze. But I'm doing it with helmet. And Bella, you're stupid. You wear a helmet.
Yeah, I'm wearing a leather jacket. I'm wearing a helmet with a full face mask.
Oh, you know those suits you wear when you're doing, police dog training?
Yes.
I'm wearing one of those.
Yeah, me too. I'm also riding a motorcycle. I'm not going to jump off a cliff. I don't do heights. I can't. I don't like it at all. So I wouldn't even make it up to the top of the cliff. I would be cringing in the back. I don't want to jump off a cliff. So I'm riding a motorcycle with safety gear directly into a tree.
No, directly into a hammer.
Directly into a hammer. How could I forget?
These wild hammers are everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yes, I am driving my motorcycle into a hammer rather than jumping into the water, taking a big deep breath in, and turning upside down.
If you see a cluster of wild hammers in the Northwest Pacific, you know there's a Sasquatch nearby as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, definitely. Next question.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Edward's, Alice's, or Aro's power?
Right. So Edward's is being able to read people's thoughts there and then. Alice's is seeing the future, but it's not predetermined. It can change.
Yes.
And Aro's is being able to read all people's thoughts with the touch.
Yes, but all of their thoughts that they've ever had. But it's one person at a time, too. And Edward is people in a small radius.
Yeah. Edward seems to be able to control his quite well, like turn it off, turn it down.
Yeah.
Focus it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arrows, I mean, it could be interesting, but imagine learning like horrible things about people, and you're not a horrible person, so you don't particularly want to blackmail them.
Sure.
What do you do? What do you do if you found out that somebody you love and care about was actually a serial killer?
Well, if I was Aro,
Like,
I'd just eat them.
Shit. Well, yeah, that is true. You probably are that serial killer, to be fair. Alice's... I love Alice, and I love her ability. But it's a dangerous thing, and that I think you could be quite addicted to, like seeing into the future, and your life starts to be ruled by what her visions are.
Yeah.
I'm not betting against Alice.
No, of course not.
No one bets against Alice, and everyone lets the Wookiee win. But
we've seen some damage that Alice's visions can have in this one.
Yes. It just takes a stray sentence about what she's seen to the wrong person for the Chinese, like for the whispers to kick in.
Yeah.
And for it to be misunderstood. I'm going to go with Edwards. Because he seems to have quite a handle on it.
Sure.
To the point where it's not like just constant noise. It's never been expressed that way that
Right.
it is. As far as I can recall. And then I'm going to go on quizzes on TV. I'm going to win Jeopardy.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, because I was thinking that I would choose Alice's because they do mention that, like, they have a lot of money because Alice can predict trends in the stock market.
I mean, that is very helpful.
Yeah.
I'll go on Jeopardy. You predict trends in the stock market.
Okay.
Together we will be stupidly rich.
Yes, and also brother and sister.
Who's the brother? Who's the
Well, you're
sister?
Edward.
That's true. I'm the brother now. That's fine.
It's fine.
Next question. Would you rather be turned into a vampire?
Yes.
End of question. No.
Yes.
We all know that answer. Would you rather be turned into a vampire by Alice or by Carlisle?
As much as I love Alice and being on Team Alice, I think I'm going to pick Carlisle. Because, man, Carlisle knows what he is doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing this for so long. He's been a vampire for 300 years, whatever. He's a doctor. So he's going to do it as painlessly as possible and, like, know the exact amount of time he needs to have bitten you for the venom to work, and he's done all these calculations already. So and he also is not, a fan of the blood, so he's not going to go bonkers and drain you dry. So I'm going to go with Carlisle.
Same. Exact same reasons. As much as I would love Alice, Carlisle's the better option.
Yeah. She's never done it before.
No. And Carlisle would supervise, I get
Sure,
that.
yes.
And I'm sure if anybody wanted to turn anybody else, he would help.
Right.
but he would also take the quote-unquote burden
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. All right. We have secret questions this time, which is special. We haven't had a secret question in a couple months.
No, we did movie questions last time.
We did do movie questions last time. We did. You're right.
Okay. Hit me with your secret question.
All right. Would you rather... This is text from the book, exact quotes.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Would you rather laugh like Alice? Alice laughed, and the sound was all silver, a wind chime. Or laugh like Jane? She laughed. The sound sparkled with delight like a baby's cooing.
Oh my.
You cannot choose option 3, R.O. Michael Sheen in the movie.
Oh.
Not an option.
Because obviously it would be Michael Sheen.
Obviously.
Or in a movie. I'm disturbed by the baby cooing.
Yes!
I'm freaking... I know the whole wind chime thing is vomit-inducing for you, but she laughed. The sound sparkled with delight like a baby cooing. Baby... Why'd you have to do the baby cooing?
I don't know.
You could have just left with she laughed. The sound sparkled with delight.
Nope, baby.
Or like she
Baby
sparkled
cooing.
with manic delight.
Nope.
You know, she's slightly hysterical and crazy.
Baby.
I'm going Alice. It might sound all silver and wind chime. At least if I laugh, I can freak you out. That's incentive for you not to keep putting me off.
Ugh.
I cannot do the baby cooing. I cannot.
It's really hard for me to choose because wind chimes make me have this visceral reaction that I am having if you can watch the videos. But I hate babies. So...
What do you hate more?
Wind chimes.
What can you tolerate more?
Babies.
So you go on
Oh, to be Jane. I mean, that's fine.
But
I like Jane. It's cool,
if your
but...
laugh is like a wind chime, you might be able to tolerate wind chimes then.
I don't even want to think about it.
Okay, shall we move on?
Yeah, do you...
Oh, she's gone cross-eyed. Okay, let's move on to my question. While Amanda is busy vomiting, let's move on.
Just chills. Just like, chills.
Just think about Arrow.
Okay.
Okay. I came prepared. I didn't know if we were doing movie.
All right.
I'm going to give you my second one. Would you... This is based from the movie, okay?
Sure.
It's purely based from the movie. Would you rather park your Volvo in the school parking lot like a jerkhole, or randomly threaten to punch someone in the cinema like a douchebag?
Oh. I'm punching people in the theater. I'm gonna do it. I would punch someone in the theater. I hate it when people park badly. That's just wrong.
It's parking badly
like
in a Volvo.
Like a jerkhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing any of that. I am going to threaten to punch someone like a douchebag. That reminds me of a very fantastic thing that happened to me once a long, long time ago when I went to see Vampire Academy, the Vampire Academy movie in the theater. I was with Amber, former co-host Amber. We went to see this movie together, and there were girls sitting a couple of seats away from us, and they kept like taking pictures with a flash. And I just quietly leaned over to them and said, "If you do that one more fucking time, I'm going to take your phone and break it." And then just leaned right back and continued watching the movie. They did not take another picture in the movie theater.
I should think not. It shouldn't be taken any.
No, but it was so very,
What twits.
very peaceful, very calm. I'm going to take your phone and break it.
Was the sound all silver?
It was silver like a wind chime,
Sparkly. Blech.
and also sparkly like a baby coo. Jesus. What are you doing? Are you
Oh, I'm not parking like a jerkhole. That pisses me right off.
I know, I hate it. I would key that Volvo.
I get so annoyed when people can't park in the lines.
Oh, it's the worst.
Like, come on.
I would slash a tire.
Do you know what? It boils my piss when people park. You park perfectly in the space, and people just ram their cars in the parking space. Do not give any cares about anybody parked next to them, and they block the driver's door.
Oh, it's the worst.
Like, if there's one door you make sure somebody can access is the driver's door, because at least if somebody can get into the car properly, pull it forward, everybody else can pile in, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can't climb over the console right now. My knees will not let me do that. And people just, rage. So I'm not parking like a jerkhole.
No.
Because
don't do it.
Cardinal sin. But I will threaten to punch someone in the cinema. I'll probably threaten to punch someone in the school parking lot if they park like a jerkhole in the Volvo as well.
Yeah, I was just threatening to punch everyone all the time.
Yeah. Do you want my other one?
Yes.
I had to.
Yeah, why not?
We're gonna throw an extra one out of here. Would you rather work in the reception in the Volturi or the concession stand at Port Angeles Cinema? Either way, life is going to drain out of you.
No, I'm hanging out with the Volturi. If there's even one half of one chance that I will get turned into a vampire, I am hanging out with the Volturi.
If there's one half of one sparkle with delight, that sounds like a baby coo of being a vampire.
Yep. Yeah.
Plus the weather would probably be much nicer in Italy.
Probably, and also you're
why?
in Italy.
Can I ask a question?
Does it have to do with the sewers?
No, it's to do with when they're landing in Florence. Florence is in the country of Italy. And do you know what language they speak in Italy? Italian.
Oh. You
Why?
don't say.
Why, when they land, do they speak English and French? It specifically says English and French.
Yes, French first, English second.
Yeah, it should be Italian and English potentially, because it is like a universal aeronautical language.
Right.
It's the same with, say,
Sure. Yeah. I don't know, man. Why do we laugh like a baby cooing? Why do we murmur everything?
Why do we wear sleeveless, open, button-down shirts? Why?
So many questions.
Why do we dive off cliffs in our hiking boots and jeans?
So many questions.
Why do we mistake wolves for bears? They're different.
Wolves and bears aren't different.
They are.
They're so different. Let's move on.
Please.
Favorite final thought quote?
Okay. I'm just going to give you 3.
Okay.
I think she's having hysterics. Maybe you should slap her.
It's the best line Alice has ever spoken.
Yeah. Damn it, this chick runs with vampires? Yeah, I do. Vampire baby, vampire people. Super black hole. Last one. I have to step out for a second. Don't do anything funny while I'm gone.
Oh, Emmett.
Emmett is underrated.
Emmett is underrated. I would love more Emmett.
Yes, the world needs more Emmett.
The world does need more Emmett.
What's your quote?
Okay. I've got one relatively serious one.
Ooh.
I mean, it's not.
Oh.
I'm sorry that I can't be the right kind of monster for you, Bella.
You're the right kind of monster for me, Amanda.
Okay, thank you.
She's bracing herself.
I'm going to read it like the audiobook.
Okay.
Aro started to laugh. Ha ha ha, he chuckled. Ha ha ha, Aro chortled again.
Can we have some with emotion now? Can we have Michael Sheen
Can we
now?
do that? And then Bella going, no. And then the baby coos. And then the wind chimes tinkle. Okay. And my last one, which if we didn't pick up from the summary, this is one of the things I latched onto. His voice was rough, if velvet can be rough, with anxiety. What the fuck is with velvet, man?
Can velvet be rough? Google.
I believe velvet was mentioned 6 times in the book, by the way.
Oh, rough.
Rough velvet.
How do you soften velvet fabric? Is velvet smooth or rough? Velvet is soft, luxurious fabric that is characterized by a dense pile of evenly cut fibers that have a smooth nap.
Nice.
Velvet is a beautiful drape and a unique soft and shiny appearance due to the characteristics of the short pile fibers. Thank you, masterclass.com.
That is really fantastic. Oh, no, I lied. Oh, God, velvet is mentioned 13 times.
Ooh.
It's his voice every single time. His irresistible velvet voice. His beautiful voice, soft like velvet. Even though it was irate. Oh, this is reckless and childish and idiotic, Bella. The velvet voice fumed. The voice in my head was back. Soft velvety echoes. Velvet voice delusion. Ugh. Oh, sorry, that's a velveteen upholstered bench. That one doesn't count.
That one doesn't count.
Velvet voice. Anxiously whispering.
Can you have too much
Warning.
velvet?
Oh, it's furious. Oh, it's the way Edward's voice would have sounded in my head. Furious. Velvet. Perfect. Jesus.
Who knew
Can't.
velvet came in so many types?
I can't do it anymore. That's the end. That's the end of my quotes. Let's move on. If you liked this, try this. Is it velvet?
It could be. I'm gonna preface mine with it's a WhatsApp book.
Oh God.
You know, say anymore.
What?
However, it seemed to have quite good reviews. She's gonna quickly check because she had a delirious moment earlier, and now talking in the third person.
Yes, she is.
Okay, it's an average of about 3.5 stars on Goodreads. That's not too bad. But I was reading through some of the reviews of it, and everybody was just loving it.
Okay.
And it's called Belmort by Bella Higgins.
Great. Already on board.
It doesn't sound that bad, actually. It's very appropriate. There's only one way out. Belmort, one of 5 houses where vampires reside as celebrities and humans appear to be their living donors. While others come here seeking fortune, I came in search of my sister who walked into Belmort 5 months ago and never walked back out. Now that I'm here, the secrets about this world have proven to be much bigger than I ever anticipated, and lurking around every corner are shocking insinuations of what happened to my sister. There's only one person who might have the answers I need, and the undeniable pull I feel toward him is terrifying. Edmund Dante. A vampire and my mortal enemy. The harder I try to resist him, the further I fall under his spell, and in one instant my life is irrecoverably changed. My past becomes prologue, and my fate becomes sealed behind these doors. Belmort has spoken, and it may never let me go. There is so much in that summary that I feel like has been like literally lifted from Twilight series.
Yeah.
And I was just...
Yep.
if you are a fan of the Twilight series, you may enjoy this
Yes,
one.
and that is exactly what the purpose of this segment of the podcast is. If you liked this, try this.
Yes. Oh, I haven't read it. It sounds appropriate.
It does sound appropriate, 100%.
What's yours?
I am going to recommend Evermore by Alison Noel. I've not read this series, but I have seen it 1,000 times in the library. After a horrible accident claims the lives of her family, P.S. they're dead, 16-year-old Ever Bloom can see people's auras, hear their thoughts, and know someone's entire life story by touching them. She's got all of them. She's got all of them wrapped up into one. Going out of her way to avoid human contact to suppress her abilities, she has been branded a freak at her new high school. But everything changes when she meets Damon Auguste. Damon is gorgeous, exotic, and wealthy. He's the only one who can silence the noise and random energy in her head, wielding a magic so intense it's as though he can peer straight into her soul. As Ever is drawn deeper into his enticing world of secrets and mystery, she's left with more questions than answers, and she has no idea just who he really is, or what he is. The only thing she knows to be true is that she's falling deeply and helplessly in love with him.
Irrevocably?
Irrevocably.
I love everything about that.
It sounds really fun. I'm not sure what they are. They're immortal, though, but I don't know what they are.
Oh, mystery.
Mystery.
Mystery wrapped in velvet.
A mystery wrapped in velvet, wrapped in a bear.
Okay, let's move on to a spotlight.
So, the new and indie spotlight that I'm talking about this time is called The Last She by H.J. Nelson. And this book has actually already been out, and the second one, called The Last City, has just come out. But this one, The Last She, I wanted to talk about it instead of the second one. Because you don't want to start in the middle. You gotta start at the beginning.
No, never. Never.
As the only female to survive the devastating virus, Ara hasn't seen another human in months, not since her father disappeared. The plague has swept away humanity, and Ara's world is desolate, haunted by the ghosts of her former life, her mother, her sister. Caden and his crew live by a code: stay alert, stay alive. When they catch Ara stealing from them, they are furious and confused. She's the first girl they've seen in 3 years. And while Caden knows taking her captive is wrong, he tells himself he's doing it to protect her. But with Ara determined to follow through on her father's mission, go back to the beginning, end the plague, Caden becomes mesmerized by Ara's will and beauty. He knows he will do anything to help her, even if it tears their worlds apart.
Ooh.
So we got some overprotective males here, perhaps?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But it seems very interesting. I would read that book.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for this episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire.
Join us next time as we discuss Heartstopper, Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. Look out for our Would You Rather polls on social media. Don't forget about our book club. Seriously, don't forget about our book club, because you still have the chance to join us for Vampire Book Club this month. It is on the last Tuesday of the month. It's February 28th this time, if you're listening just as this episode comes out, at 5:15 p.m. Central Time. You can find all of that on Facebook. Back to our regularly scheduled outro. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover-themed merchandise, and become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Also, you can check out this video of this episode on Patreon. Everyone can see it right now. Go watch it and then join our Patreon. Until next time, remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book.
You can find us at fictionalhangover.com, follow us on Instagram at fictionalhangover, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fictionalhangover, and on Twitter at fictionalhangover, no ER. If you like this episode, check out our others, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe so you don't miss out. And finally, special thanks to Liz Emerson for her music. You can find her on Facebook and Patreon. Thanks for listening.